Hey there, it's Juju, and it's day 138. And today I'm going to talk about being a lifelong learner and 11 of the books that I've read in the last year that have really helped me spiritually and challenged my thinking and made me think in a new way. So I have a habit every morning of setting a timer for 10 minutes, depending on the book. Sometimes they're just small, with the meditation books, just like a small chapter. But I read a book on both social justice and then with some spiritual practices. So I wanted to share these books because they've made a big impact on me. Now, some of them I have, a lot of them I've given away. Some of them were library books. So I'm going to talk about some, show you some, and then I'll have a list in the comments. So first of all, Anam, Cara, which is by John O'Donohue, who is an Irish poet and philosopher. He has books on blessings, and his work is very much tied to the Celtic lifestyle and connection to to nature. And so I highly recommend Anam, Cara. Then I read Until We Reckon, Violence, Mass Incarceration, and a Road to Repair. And this is by Danielle Sered. And this is an excellent book on restorative justice and with real examples of how it is a better way to keep communities safe than policing. So I highly recommend it. It really challenges some of your assumption. I followed that up with We Keep Us Safe, Building Secure, Just, and Inclusive Communities. And the point of this book, it's not police who keep us safe. We keep each other safe. And again, it has a restorative justice approach. I read Soledad Brother because I spend a lot of time in Soledad prison. It was recommended to me by one of the brothers in blue and who is an incarcerated man. And this book was extremely popular at the time. This goes all the way back to Angela Davis and the, Soledad 5. So it's very interesting to read the book in terms of his progression. He was arrested at a very young, 19 or 20, on stealing $40 from a gas station. And then they just kept incarcerating. And he got a full education and became a radical in prison and was eventually shot at San Quentin. But it's an interesting book. Then I read Wait, A Love Letter to Those in Despair, and that's by Cuong Lu. And that is just, messages to people who are in deep despair and considering suicide. But it's also just beautiful reminders, little segments. Now, a book that I read before this that had a huge impact on me is The Light We Give by Simran Jeet Singh. And this is the book that made me really identify my values and make sure that I live my values. And it's an excellent book. It's about the Sikh religion. The Sikh, many people pronounce it Sikh, but it's actually pronounced Sikh. And it's a beautiful book. Another book about the Sikh religion is Valerie Kaur's Sage Warrior. And that goes through the whole history of all the gurus of the Sikh religion, but also adds a feminist perspective, which is not often told. So that was a lovely book. A huge impact for me has been Healing Resistance. So I got this book 5 years ago when I was being trained in nonviolence in Selma, but it wasn't until today that it resonates. Because of this book, I am a true practitioner and believer in nonviolence. I highly recommend it. Another little spiritual book that was recommended is Vibrate Higher Daily by Live Your Power by Lalah Deliah. And this is a thoughtful little book. Again, it's in small chapters. So I recommend every morning to read something before you look at the news, your phone, or anything else, to have some meditative mindfulness, And if there's a book that you've been trying to read and can't get through, just set that timer for 10 minutes. I can't believe I've read 11 of these books in just 10-minute segments. The other thing that's really nice about the 10-minute segment is you can really absorb. If you're having books in a lot of these social justice books, there's a lot of information to really absorb. It's helpful to just do it in 10-minute segments. I've talked a lot about this, Jack Kornfield, No Time Like the Present. And this is finding freedom, love, and joy right where you are. And again, this is, each morning I would read page and a half, just a little segment. It's been very inspiring, and I've talked about that in several of the videos. My Listen, Understand, and Value Love Book Club is reading Emergent Strategy. I think it's really important to read authors of color, and this is by Adrienne Maree Brown, and she is an activist, and this book is about how to approach activism in a new way with an emergent strategy. A lot of it is comparing, taking the lessons that we learn from nature, and so I've really enjoyed that book. And then just this morning, Kazu Haga, who wrote Healing Resistance, this is his brand new book, Fierce Vulnerability. And so I just started. I only read the introduction, but I'll be reading this for 10 minutes a day. And I think I may talk about vulnerability in a separate video. So these are 11 books that have really inspired and touched me. And it was easy to do them. This is not my pleasure reading. I'm in 2 book clubs, and, this is just, lifelong learning, because I don't think any of us should just be content with where we are. And you can learn by listening to podcasts and listening to books. You don't have to read them. But I think it's really important. So I worked in academic libraries for 33 years. So reading is obviously very important to me. I used to, when I was working, I would read 4 books, as in 3 book clubs, and then I'd have another one on top of that. I also had a 2-hour commute that I could read on. Anyway, that is today's video on reading, lifelong learning, and continuing, especially during difficult times, to find things that comfort you and bring back to you to a center and a place of love. So this is Juju, unedited, unscripted, unfiltered. Lead with love, and just try reading for 10 minutes in the morning.